Another Hog loss, 0-4 in conference play. Is it time to give up on the Hogs? You'll hear from Coach Z and Ernie on this edition of the Hog Central Podcast.
This is the Hog Central Podcast. And now, here's your host, Steve Sullivan.
Welcome to the Hog Central Basketball Podcast. I'm Steve Sullivan, along with the walk-on wonder from Wabaseka, Ernie Murry, and Mr. Hog Hoops, Matt Zimmerman, better known as Coach Z. If I was in a coma and I just woke up today and I looked at those SEC standings, I'd say, wait a minute. 16 teams and there's one 0-4 team, and that's Arkansas? Tell me that's wrong.
Get off those drugs. That's what I'd say. We're not going to be 0-4. Get off those drugs you're on.
This is a team, though, with serious problems on both sides, offensively and defensively. It's not like there's just one thing you can point to say if they did that better, you know, they'd have a different record.
I'm going to say one thing that this basketball team need to do better. Attack. Because the referees are going to make a decision.
Yeah.
I thought when we got close, what did LSU do? Take the basketball, go to the hole. Drove the basketball to the hole. You know, you can make more. Most teams that make more twos win the basketball game. And this team, to me, they just don't know how to win. You know, they up 12 points, and I sort of think they get a little comfortable, and they stop doing the things that get them the 12-point lead. But if you're not scoring, you got to hang your hat on defense.
Hey, Z, it's all about matchups. They had two senior guards, Carter and Sears, and they seemed to just get their way, get into the hoop time and time again, especially, you know, late in the game when you needed a stop and Boogie was on fire. Mm-hmm. They still got to the hoop where you couldn't get that big stop.
Yeah, you're right. It was a two-man game for LSU. Now, their bigs were athletic enough, Sully, 6'8", 6'9", 6'10", that they could block some shots.
Yeah.
And, you know, they blocked 11 of our shots. No one's done that all year. They blocked 11 Razorback shots. But their bigs weren't scorers. Now, they could catch a lob and dunk it.
Yeah.
But their bigs were more in their defense, energy, and to set screens. And they set a ton of screens for Jordan Sears and for Cam Carter. And those guys went to work. I knew Carter was pretty good. I'd seen him in Mississippi State about 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Then he went off to K-State. Carter can score the basketball.
Hey,
he's a smart player.
Hey, listen to this stat. How many free throws do you think Cam Carter shot last game against Ole Miss?
Zero.
How many did he shoot the game before? 5. The game before, 2. And that's a problem where
they shoot 14 combined against us. They go 14 of 14 against us.
Yeah, and that was a huge issue. Another thing it's 2 straight games where you've outplayed the team for the majority of the first half. You've built a decent lead, and you go to the locker room against Ole Miss, or it was the Ole Miss game, I guess it was. You are tied at the half. And you go last night, they control that first half, and they go to the half up by 2. They just have that lapse at the end of the first half. And that sets a bad tone because the other team goes to the locker room, like you said, with momentum, and they start the second half, and bang, it's new game.
And I'm going to say something I think Coach Calvin probably need to evaluate. I think Boogie and the guards are playing too many minutes, and I think they're trying to take breaks during the game, and that's really what's causing the problem. You looked at Boogie after he went on that run. That last shot, he missed everything. I think he just exhausted. I don't know if you can win in this league consistently with 9 guys playing. It's a long, tough road. You got, I think, 16 or 18 games. I just want this basketball team to finally figure out what makes them tick. What makes this team tick is to go to the end of the basketball game when they press, when they play 94 feet, so you don't see as many breakdowns in the defense.
Yeah, well, you know, Boogie looked like a different player in the last minute and a half of the game. He looked like the guy that the NBA scouts are all high on. When you spread that court, he's at his best.
Yeah, 19 points. He had 5 assists. He had 2 turnovers. He had 1 steal. Boogie was really good. We were -2 overall when he was in there, and we lost by 4. He played close to 39 minutes in the ball game.
It's too many.
I do think his defense the minutes does affect his defense. And like you said, maybe that last shot, you get into your legs If you're going to play 38, 39 minutes, you're going to fill it the most the last 5 minutes. And I do think 9's enough, though, Ernie, not to disagree with you. I'm from the Nolan Richardson, Mike
Yeah.
Anderson era, too, of let's play 12.
Yes.
But I do think we got to have our best guys out there. And I do think, like I look at Florida now, they just got beat by Missouri. But Florida only plays 8 guys.
Wow.
There's other teams in our league that play 7.
But they playing
Tennessee-
8 guys that could contribute. We playing 9,
Right.
and 4 is contributing. So
Yeah.
you know, I think you need to circle the wagon. And I don't know those guys that's on the bench. Give them a shot. You never know.
Hey,
Well,
offense.
I think if we're going to win games, big games, Ernie, I think it's not because Billy and Carter play 34 minutes,
Yeah.
but Billy and Carter need to be pieces in what you're talking about. Give some guys some rest, and then give some energy plays and
Yes.
get some drives and get some tip ins and block a shot and take a charge and do the energy things that those guys have shown that they can do. Now, do we need Carter to score 18 or Billy to score 10? No. But we need high energy results from those guys, and they're trying to provide it because their energy is always there. But we have to have more off of our bench. Whoever's starting, we got to have more from the bench, and we need more from Big Z. Z has shown an ability to do some stuff. Now he's playing, 3, 4, 5, 6 minutes a game. We got to have. He don't have to come in and score 15 either, but he's got to help us do something because he can shoot.
Hey, there was a section early in the second half where they put up like a wall defensively. They did a lot of switching. I noticed multiple times, whether it would be Z or Adu, had a mismatch. And we were unable to even get the ball to them. Sometimes we didn't spot them, but they were up against, like when you see Z against a 6-foot guard, I mean, it's hard to miss. We tried it once, and
He's
the pass
7'2", Sully.
and the pass was too low. But we just make those just fundamental mistakes. And, and one thing that really irritates me when you're a bad offensive team is taking bad shots. I want Adu taking threes in practice before he takes them in the game. He took 2 threes in the first half, and then Carter Knox on the beginning of a fast break, and he was the only one down court, and he stopped with nobody at the rim to get a rebound. He stopped and let a 3 fly at a time when, we weren't playing well, and I just thought this team cannot afford quick shots or ill-advised shots when you're struggling offensively.
I think
No,
I'm
you're
going to go
right.
back to what I said. Attack.
Yeah.
Attack. We got to get to the rim, make the referees make some decisions. Carolyn Peck kept saying Arkansas is shooting basically too many jump shots. Go to the goal. Go to the rack. Make the referees make some call. And I thought every time LSU went to the rack late in the game, probably from the 6-minute mark, they got fouls.
Yeah, Z made a good point about the blocks. Adu Thero wasn't the same player last night. He had a couple of his shots blocked. He had a nice little hook in the lane, but they discouraged him from driving a lot. And Boogie, we're seeing it with the numbers. If you look at our primary shooters, Boogie, Thero, and DJ, look at their 2-point numbers last night. When I think Boogie was again like 3 for 12. And this is a trend. Usually Thero's good from 2-point range, but DJ was under 500 from 2-point range. And something I don't like to see from Boogie, he's got a really nice jump shot, but that 17-foot jump shot is probably the worst shot in basketball. You can either take the 3 or move in closer and shoot. But he's a young player, but his numbers. Well, he's the one guy in that half-court offense that can create his own shot. So we need better percentages. I mean, there's a lot on that kid's shoulders, but from Boogie than we're getting from 2-point range.
Yeah, I mean, I love his pull-up. I think it's one of the strengths of his game. I understand what you're saying about sometimes when he shoots the pull-up closer to the 3-point line. Does that make sense? That part don't bother me, but when you've been given a lot is expected, right? What's the saying to what is, and for our 2 really good guards, and they're both good. Boogie's a special player. But when you're given 40 and 39 and 38 minutes, DJ leads the league in minutes played at over 38 a game. Now, last night, he only played 32 minutes and 41 seconds, so 33. I say only because he's been playing 38 or 39. If you're given 38 or 39 or 40 minutes, Ernie, I always look at it like some of these teams play 2 guys in a spot.
That's correct.
Maybe the starter plays 23 minutes, and his sub plays 17 minutes in a lot of places. That's the 40 minutes. And you kind of combine their stats. And if one of those guys, the guy getting 23 minutes is getting 10 points a game, and his running buddy's getting 8 points a game coming off the bench, that's 18 points a game, and so rebounds, and so assists. You add all that up, that's what they're getting out of that spot. And sometimes, like DJ might get you 20, but DJ's also had a lot of games where he scores 10 or 12 points, and he has 0 or 1 or 2 assists, and he has 2 or 3 steals. He does some other things, but is he doing enough for 40 minutes? That's a 40-minute window he's eating up.
Yeah, you look at the flip side last night when you had Carter and Sears and what they produced, the two of them.
Right. And that's what you got to have. I'm not saying that you got to have 20 and 30, but you got to do a little bit more minute management. I think Coach Richardson, as good as Lee Mayberry was, Matt can tell you this, Lee probably averaged 30, probably 29, 30 minutes a game, as good as he was.
And that was a lot for Coach Richardson.
Right. So, I mean, you got to manage those guys so they have something late in the tank. And I thought at the end, when LSU turned the heat up, we didn't have nothing we could turn up.
Yeah, and the little things too. Early in the game, I really thought in the first half, if we had limited their rebounds and the fouls, we would have gone to half with like a 10 or 12 point lead. But so many times they run down those 3-pointers. On the flip side, I don't see us running down our misses. And I don't know if it's just a lack of awareness. But have you noticed that, Z, as far as?
Yeah, and yes, and that's a good point by you. And another thing that I saw was Derek Fountain checked in. He's been in our league 4 years, number 20. He's a high energy, everything I've ever heard about. He played at Mississippi State for a year, just like Carter did. And then he's been 3 years at LSU. And most people don't know our league know Derek's not the most skilled guy, but he's extreme effort. He's considered a great kid. He busts his tail all the time. And that's how he's played 4 years in the SEC. He's 2 of 5 on the whole season at the free throw line. 2 makes out of 5. I don't know what happened in Baton Rouge, but we're building an 8-point lead, 10-point lead, 12-point lead. We're looking like we might stretch this thing.
Yeah,
correct.
And when LSU couldn't score, when we were guarding Carter and Sears so good, and their bigs aren't real much scorers.
Yeah.
So they're not scoring. And how they hung in that ball game at that stretch of the first half was Derek Fountain.
Correct.
A not skilled guy, but who plays hard, putting his head down and attacking the rim. And 3 times we had 3 different of our guys foul him. And a couple of them, Ernie, he was throwing the ball
up.
It
was horrible.
Wait.
There was one underneath the basket where he was just throwing it up.
He was throwing it up, and he went 6 for 6. He's 2 for 5 through
the season.
15 games.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there going, is this Derek Fountain 6 for 6 at the line?
But
that's not against he kept them in the game.
But that's knowing who you're defending too, that you got to let him shoot. That he's not a good shooter, and I saw the same thing. There were some bailout calls. I mean, he had one where he started on the left side of the hoop and he tried to go underneath and throw it up, and they fouled him. I say, what are you doing?
Yeah, and you know what? I looked immediately up at the deal. I was like, surely, and we did. We hammered him.
Yeah.
And he wasn't going to make that, and that's where we just have to be a little better because we were playing well on offense at that time. Nelly had gotten going. Adu was making some plays. Yeah. Jonas Adu was doing okay. Trevin hit the left corner 3. Sully. Our offense was playing better.
Yes. And
then all of a sudden we let them hang in a game by fouling. No offense to Derek Fountain, a fine young man. But we didn't need to foul him there.
Coach Z, you bring up a good point. I kept wondering why when he was going to shoot the 3-pointer, why we was running out there. We want him to shoot the 3. Yeah. And then we run out and he shot fakes us and go to the hole and our defense break down. He touches a lot of balls. He's a high energy guy. And this basketball team, they fed off of him last night. I thought the game was over when we went up 12.
What about John L. Davis? I thought he had a great first half, but I was going to put a missing persons call out for him in the second half. I didn't notice him in the second half. And he played a better all-around game, but he was not.
He didn't do much. He had such a good first half.
Yes.
He was playing hard. He was aggressive. I liked he was trying to defend. Now, he missed a box out in the first half where actually they drove not around him, but they drove and he turned to look
Yeah.
and they went up and Jonas blocked it, but his guy went right around him, caught it and laid it in. And it's the little things. It's the
Yeah.
little things that we have to do better. Now, can you say some big picture stuff like Ernie said? We've got to be a better defensive team, and
Got to.
I can argue we need to be a better offensive team, and it all comes together. Sully can definitely argue we need to be a better rebounding team. We got out rebounded again. This time by only 2.
Yeah.
We did have 17 offensive rebounds, which was good. But those are big things. We have to do little things better, and that's going to become big thing. That's going to help our big picture. I just think too many little things we're not getting done. Not putting this on Nelly, but he had the last game, he had a couple turnovers.
Oh, bad
and this
turnover.
one, we get the ball Sully down. What were we down 4?
Yeah, and he had a
or
bad
5?
turnover. Yeah.
And he gets a defensive rebound, and they're not guarding him.
And it bounces
9
up.
players are
Yeah.
running down the
Oh.
floor,
Yeah.
and unfortunately, he dribbles off his leg.
Yeah.
And that's going to happen sometime, but it's just happening a little bit too much for us. LSU had more turnovers than we did. They had 15, we had 12, but we had some bad, untimely turnovers.
did.
Do you
It's
think
the
this
little
could
things.
be, with their lack of post presence? Do you think this can be a good half court offensive team? I know they did some cutting and did some good things, but in a 40-minute game, I think it's going to be hard to get out of the 30% if we're stuck in that half court and we're not getting those fast break numbers.
I think what this basketball team needs to do is go back and look how they played probably at the 12-minute mark to the 8-minute mark. They were cutting, they was hitting, they were playing great basketball.
Yeah.
Then after that, I think they get tired, and it's not as much motion, it's not as much movement. I think the minutes need to be managed.
Z made a great point about too much is given, much is expected, because when you're getting that 38 minutes and 35 minutes, those are the guys you expect to put up good numbers, and you're counting on those guys. And he has a lot of trust in DJ Wagner, and Wagner can look great.
But then you
driving
don't
the
know
hoop occasionally, but then he'll go silent for a while.
Yeah, and Brazil, bless his heart. I feel sorry for the kid in a way. He has a lot of potential, but I think he gets down on himself too fast. He shot a great 3, hit another 3 in the second half. I would be sitting in Coach Cal's chair. I say, Coach, I got to go in. I got to play. You got to show Coach Cal that you want to be a part of this, and I think Brazil can help this, and so can Big Z. When Big Z got eligible at Kentucky, that's the kid I want to see. I hadn't seen that kid since maybe early in the year. This team got a lot of pieces. We just need to get a win so they can start believing in themselves.
Yeah, need a win. And I think coaches try to do this a little bit offensively. It's nice to have a low post guy. If you could throw it into Jonas and lay him, we do need a low post presence. But also at the same time, sometimes getting it spread out, let Jonas come up and set ball screens and get him out, and let's spread the floor. Because we do have 3 guys that can really drive it. Boogie can drive, DJ can drive, and the Duthero can drive. And actually,
doubt.
Carter and Billy can drive a
Hey,
little
what
bit more
happened at the
beautiful,
beginning of
too.
the second half? They almost set up a wall. They did a little double teaming outside. We couldn't get much offense running at all when that started the second half.
Yeah, I thought LSU, to me, their defense got a little bit more aggressive in the second half. They came out a little further, and they tried to pressure us a little more. We handled it decent at times and would get good looks, but then there were some times we settled. But the settling didn't hurt us as much last night. We went 9 of 20 from the 3.
Yeah.
Man, we'll take that every
Every
day.
game,
That's
yes,
Yeah, we
great.
had problems with the twos. I think we shot, we missed a lot of layups again. And
Yeah. Contested driving layups.
Hey, football fans, the college football playoffs are here, and the Triple Option Podcast is your go-to source. Be sure to join Urban Meyer, Mark Ingram II, and I each week as we march closer to Atlanta and crowning a new college football national champion.
what's up with Boogie? He looks so good attacking the hoop, but the ball's going in less and less. And he elevates, he drives, even in that last second drive.
It's who we're playing. It's
Yeah.
who we're playing. Mate.
Okay.
Well, and now they have a lot of tape on Boogie. They
Yeah.
know what he likes to do. They know what he don't like to do. And Boogie, to me, is a downhill player. He's going to have to get to the rack a little bit more and take some contact. You know, I think sometimes he tries to shy away from contact, and sometimes you got to take that contact and finish. And even if you miss, you get to the line. I love Boogie Flan. I think he's a
Great
good
free
basketball
throw shooter.
Yeah, great free.
Yeah.
I want the ball in his hand.
Yeah,
Trust me.
You'd like to see him having a 10-for-10 game at the line.
Correct.
Like Carter had last night.
Yes.
And you figure you got these guards from the Bronx and New Jersey there. You figure you have some tough guards that like contact.
He is. I'm like Ernie. I love him. He's a special talent. There's just not too many players, Sully, that you can give him the ball and you can run something or not run something
Yeah.
or set him a screen. He gonna get a shot. Boogie gonna get a shot.
And he never
He's from the Bronx.
and he never looks
He
like
is a
he's
shot creator.
He never looks like he's forcing a shot. Every shot he takes is good. He elevates. He gets open. I mean, he creates.
And he never gets it blocked. I mean, maybe on a drive on occasion, a big man can come help.
Yeah, but he doesn't. You're exactly right.
But he's the only one of that team. He's the only one of that team that can create a shot like that, and that's the result. That's why he gets so many shots.
Duke Thero can create too, but
Yeah.
he's not quite as skilled. So, it's harder. He don't make as many tight pull-ups or tough shots. But I do think there's just a lot of little things that we have to
Z,
get
you've
better
been on
at.
you've been on plenty of staffs. When you're not meeting expectations and you're going through a funk, and you have young guys that were highly regarded. I mean, how difficult is that right now? I mean, it's and you got all this focus on Cal, and it's not a good situation.
Well, Cal was so positive in Baton Rouge. I mean, he came out of the locker room. He does his normal. He gets out there 3 or 4 minutes before the game starts. He looks. There's always some friends. He's got so many people who want to touch him, and he says hello to just a few folks as he walks out, waves, smiles, and then he hit to that court. And as soon as he hit that floor, I mean, he was clapping. He was cheering on our guys. He was giving the old school high fives like we used to give Ernie, with your hands up in the air, not the fist bump. He was high fiving them. He was kind of hugging on some guys, and I think he really had a mindset of let's have fun tonight. Let's play super hard and let's keep it positive. And I think he was really focused on, not that he's a negative coach, because he's not a negative coach.
No, he's not.
Yeah.
But I think he's been getting a little bit frustrated, especially in those 2 home losses. And so I think he was determined to I'm going to stay all positive and let's get after it. And there was times in the first half when we were playing well, he kind of had a little smile, not a disrespectful to LSU smile, just like, hey, this is good. We're playing good. He was clapping. And I think he was in a really good place. But I just think the Derek Fountains, and all of a sudden they're driving to the basket. They stop the bleeding. And then next thing you know, the 2 guards that we were guarding so well, Carter and Sears, they got going.
I'm going to tell you something else I noticed. The physicality of LSU, they imposed their will on us in that game in the second half. Coach Z is right. They guarded more out on the floor. They spared us up. They were just more physical. They wanted the basketball game more than we did. They got all the loose balls late.
I'm not a fan. I wasn't a fan of the officiating last night, but 90% of the time, the team that is most aggressive going to the hoop is going to go to the free throw line last night. And in fairness, LSU took it to the hole more aggressively than us most of the game, and they got rewarded the free throws. I thought the officiating, especially the flagrant foul on Brazil, was just crazy.
You know what that was? That was an illegal screen.
Yeah.
Well, that was because the coach pointed it out, and they had to go make face. That was a regular foul. That was just a common illegal screen. Yeah. It was not like the Boogie foul where the guy pushes him and extends.
Hey, that is such a huge, because it's two foul shots and the ball.
Yes.
And they scored.
They scored 5 points on that play.
They scored off that.
Yeah.
And Sully, they'd called the illegal screen on Robert Miller earlier, number 6. And not only did he illegal screen, they probably should have called a T on him, because when they called the illegal screen, he kind of stood over the guy, and then as he's walking towards his bench, he's cussing at him and he's yelling at him.
Yeah.
And if Jed Hartness was the crew chief, and he's a good official, but he's not normally a crew chief that often, and he's like the second or third guy in an SEC game. And when Jed saw him, he told that kid, and I'll give him credit. I want him to do that with our guy. Hey, be quiet. Get away from this. And so you had that action, and then the Trevin just, it set an illegal screen. It should not have been the same result.
No.
And but I was very surprised. Olandis Pools is a long-time experienced referee. Jeb Hartness, long-time referee. And then we had a third referee. He did okay. I'm not criticizing refs. I'm just stating facts.
Yeah.
We had AJ Deschao, I think, Desia. I know every official in our league. I didn't know him.
He's new.
Yeah, and I didn't know him, Ernie. But then as the officials come and say hello, shake hands with the coaches, and exchange pleasantries, and then they went to LSU, Matt McMahon said hello to AJ. He said, "Hey Jeb, hey Olandis," and here comes AJ, the third guy. Matt McMahon said, "How you doing? I'm Matt McMahon," and he said, so they didn't know him either.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. That's okay. That's fine. We got to have new officials in the league. But generally, in the SEC, you start learning your new officials in the non-conference play.
Correct.
Yeah.
Well, we had not ever seen AJ, and they had never seen AJ, and we don't normally have Jeb as the crew chief.
Yeah.
And like I said, Jeb and Orlandis to me are good referees. I'm not criticizing them,
Right.
But it was a little, it was interesting of the crew for that game. Now, Ernie knows this. They have to assign people to games,
Right.
And when you have
0-3 against 0-3.
Mississippi State, correct. If you have Mississippi State at Kentucky,
They gonna get a better
you're
crew.
not getting that crew,
Yeah.
Right.
When who went to Auburn?
Mississippi
But anyway,
State.
Mississippi State went to Auburn. Okay,
Right. They got to have a good crew.
Yeah, you're going to have those kind of crews, and it's based on a lot of it's based on your record and how it's going, because they don't assign it 6 months in advance.
No.
They
Yeah.
kind of go as you go, and they start going. Oh, we didn't realize, like Ole Miss now, they're 4-0. They're going to start getting what our league considers our top officials, right, Ernie?
Correct.
They're going to get them more often than they used to when they were an NIT team.
Yeah. Let me tell you how that works. How that works is your schedule is blocked, but your assignment don't come out to the Sunday of the coming week. So you know you're
doing
going
an SEC
somewhere.
game.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, you're going somewhere.
Right. But you don't know exactly where you're going.
And how about Ole Miss?
Wow.
Shutting down Alabama at Alabama. Hey, something about went to a Chris Beard practice one time at Little Rock, and they kept blowing the whistle. They'd hardly start the possession. I figured, what the heck is going on? And Coach Flanagan told me, he's one assistant, he said, they blow the whistle every time the ball goes into the paint because he does not want the ball in the paint because bad things happen.
That's correct.
So every time in that scrimmage that ball went in the paint, he blew the whistle.
Wow.
Interesting.
And that's, and you look at the way they shut down Alabama last night, and that's the one thing I worry about this team is I really see nothing right now to hang your hat on. They're okay in some areas, but there's not one area where you say, wow, Arkansas can do this well. And that's, in some respects.
The only thing that we do,
we don't turn it over a lot.
We don't turn it over a lot. And last night on the road in a tough place, we didn't, we only had 13, but 12, which isn't bad.
That's
Yeah.
not
But
bad.
untimely turnovers,
Yeah.
which go back to the little things. And we really defend the rim. We really do. And our fans want to,
Yes,
really
we block a lot of
hammer
shots.
the defense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We block shots and we change shots, and we are very good at that. And we defend inside the lane pretty good. We get beat off the dribble a little bit, but most every team does. It's hard
Yeah.
to guard now.
Coach Z, you bring up a good point. I don't think a guy can play man-to-man defense for 39 minutes. Just me personally. I don't think a player can play man-to-man for 39 minutes. And then he's your leading scorer too.
Yeah.
Some areas going to go lacking. He's an offense or defense.
And it's going to get tougher as the season goes along because he spends a lot of time on the ball. I noticed they did sit him a little in the first half last night.
Yeah.
I don't know for how long.
I think 30 seconds, about 45.
I think they're concerted. They know DJ and Boogie, we've got to get them some time down. They do know that because they want them to be their best at the end of the game.
You know what I would like to see happen with Boogie, and you know how they have the media timeouts under 5? If we could maybe get that cat a few extra minutes, the media's coming up after 5 minutes. So maybe you take him out.
Do.
Yes, let him get a little more
I
rest.
did learn something last night from the broadcast that he's the leader.
He is the
They
leader.
said in
I saw
practice
him.
that Cal wanted him talking, and I have no problem with Boogie being the leader because
He is the leader.
He is the leader.
He has a
the leader.
great demeanor on the court. He's frustrated. He's not finishing. Even I go back to that last layup he missed, and he got so high and went right through them, and I'm thinking, how is he not just finishing that shot? And maybe it is fatigue.
And
and maybe it is you have that shot blocker in the back of your mind.
Oh, yes. When you get it, Zim noticed he played basketball. If you get your stuff knocked out of the gym, when you go back in there, you looking for him. I mean,
Yeah.
every
You know.
guy,
Yeah.
you know where he's located. And I really love Boogie. He's even a better guy off the court than he is on the court.
Yeah.
I was at the Little Rock game, and my grandson wanted to meet him so bad. Boogie came out of the press conference and said, yes, I got time to meet him. What star does? Most of them say, no, I don't have time.
Yeah.
Great kid.
Hey, Boogie at the end of that game, wow. I mean, when he came down, hit that three, hit another three,
man.
You saw why the NBA scouts are saying, this guy can be special.
Yes.
And that's at the back end of a game when he's played 35 minutes. The kid has shown at the end of games, when the games are on the line, that he's going to be at his best. His focus is going to be high, and he wants the ball. And reminded me a little of Muss. Muss used to send it over to one guy and let him go at the end. and it was Boogie last night, and he was one shot away. If we, that's where you go back to if you make that stop. But as Z says, a game got loose at the end, and they got to the rim too much. And at the end, Sears got that layup that kind of sealed the game, and they hit all their free throws.
All of them. That's amazing.
If they just missed
And
one.
I give them credit, LSU, because they still had to make some pull-ups, and they did. Sears and Carter. They had to make threes, and both of them made some long three-pointers. Someone told me on Wednesday morning that, LSU's not going to win hardly any league games. Now LSU's not going to win the league. LSU's, to me, I don't think they'll make the NCAA tournament. But LSU's going to beat some folks because, Ernie, you got two guys, man.
Oh, he can
that
go.
Can flat out score the ball. And, number one, you got those two guys, older guys, like Sully said. And number two, they guard the rim. They defend the rim.
Yes.
And number three, Matt McMahon has those guys. Every time we've played them 5 times now that he's been there. The first year, we split with him. That was the game when we were playing Kansas in football. Everybody's watching the Razorbacks play Kansas in the Liberty Bowl, and we went to Baton Rouge, and we shot like 23%. They beat us, Sully, and then LSU lost like the next 15 league games in a row.
Yeah.
And then we beat them by like 40 in Bud Walton. We should have never lost to them that year, but so that year we went 1-1 against them. Last year they blew us out in Baton Rouge. We always beat them at home. So we were 2-2 versus Matt McMahon. And now we're 2-3 against Matt McMahon. They play very, very hard. And I want to pay LSU respects. I'm going to listen to an LSU podcast. But it wasn't like those guys were fighting too.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
I thought, Sully, that it was two teams that were pretty desperate for a win. But LSU was just a fraction more desperate. They were at home, and they played like we really, really need to win. We played hard. LSU played like we have to win. We've got no choice.
Yeah.
We have to
I just
win
don't
this
think
game.
we're good enough either when you build a lead at the end of the first half, and this is that Ole Miss game was the same thing. And you mentioned the way Beard ran off the court against Arkansas when they tied it at 33 at the end of the half. And then last night when we were in control that first half, and bang, 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 and all of a sudden they've got the momentum going to the locker room, and bang, they hit you in the mouth to start the second half. They build, a lead, and it's just you can't work so hard. We don't hit a lot of threes for so long and then let that team back into the game with a offensive drought at the end of the half.
If you let a team like LSU hang around, and I always say this, if you got good guard play and a half decent big man inside, you're going to be in some games. And get a big guy's credit. They were enforcers inside. They was batting the ball all around, and, this team just needs something good to happen. I would love to see them slip.
Yeah, I like what Z says, though. When I give you 35, 36 minutes, I expect some numbers in return, a handprint on that game, and you got it from the two LSU guards last night.
Yes.
They got a lot of minutes, and they bring Sears off the bench.
But he did rest. I can't think of his name. Number
Carter.
20. He rested him for quite a while. If you go back and look at that game, he rested him in the second half. I think he forgot
Which
him.
one you saying? Was it Carter?
The one that made all the shot, Carter.
Yeah.
Carter
Carter
went out in the
did.
second half. I think he was out more than I expected him to be. I think it was a 4-minute stretch. But once he come back, he was on fire. And you gotta manage guys' minutes. You got to.
Yeah. Well, it doesn't get any easier on Saturday. Missouri's going to be going in sky high. And they held on against Florida, too. That was a difficult game. I mean, they built a lead, and the fact that they held on and won the game is credit to them.
Sully, I called Pat Bradley on Wednesday morning because I knew that I didn't get to see that game. I got it on DVR, and I'll watch it. And I've seen Missouri play. I watch them a lot every year because I coach there. And so I know their team, and I called Pat. And he was at the airport in Gainesville taking off out of there. And I said, my goodness, Caleb Grill went off. He said, that wasn't Caleb Grill. That was Larry Bird.
That's who it was. That's pretty good.
Larry Bird. And Caleb Grill had a big game. And, you know, they're getting good minutes from different guys, like this kid Pierce that they bring in battles. And I really like the guard.
Hey, they beat Kansas.
Anthony Robinson. I like Robinson.
Yeah. But they are doing it by committee. You don't know which guy's going to be there, like Coach Z said.
Guys.
Missouri
plays a lot of guys.
Yeah. That's a big win for them.
Well, Z, you need to get some rest.
Good for Dennis Gates, and they needed it in Missouri. You know, that's a team, Sully. It's how fast you can change it now with the portal and NIL and paying players. They're 0-18.
In the conference. You're right.
Conference last year, 0-18. They weren't any good. I mean, when you played Missouri last year, it was a breath of, I mean, you exhaled when you beat them, you know, because you didn't want to be the one that lost to them because they had not won a game.
This is a big game for them Saturday. I mean, they've got momentum.
And they'll have a good crowd. They will have a better crowd than we've seen in there the last few years. And last year, the crowd, I mean, that place holds, you know, right at 15,000 Missouri Arena. Last year we played there was probably, it was a midweek game, Sully. There was probably 4,000 there.
Wow.
There's going to be more than 4,000. And, you know, that's about what LSU had. LSU's place holds about 13,000, you know, and they don't fill it up very often unless they're really rolling. But there was probably, I'd say 4,000 or 5,000 actual bodies at LSU. So, but it's going to be a bigger crowd at Missouri. They're starting to believe over there, and their fans will show up, which might be good for our guys. Our guys may be pretty fired up with a huge crowd.
All right, one final shot, Ernie.
Well, you 0-4. You don't have anything to lose. Missouri had a great week, early week. They go to Florida, beat Florida, which is a tough place to play. So I hope Missouri comes in high, thinking that we can't play, and we go over there and win the basketball game. This team needs something good to happen. They've had such bad luck the first 4 SEC games. You know what I would do if I was Coach Cal? We would fly in the morning of the game. We wouldn't go spend the night. I would change the routine up a little bit.
Yeah, you need to do whatever you can now.
But give Coach Cal credit for one thing. He's not blaming the kids, he's blaming himself.
Yeah, and you know, and he was so positive yesterday, but you just these losses piling up. It's just, and the nation's watching. Yeah. I mean, ever since he's gotten that job, they've been hyper-focused on Cal at Arkansas. Yeah. All right, thank you, Ernie, and hopefully next week we'll have a win to talk about.
I hope so. All
right, thank you for tuning in. I want to thank Coach Z. His Zoom time ran out. But for joining us, and thank you for tuning into the Hog Central Podcast. A new podcast each week drops on YouTube or wherever you get your favorite podcasts.